You ain't got time to be listening to people who are trying to talk you out of what God is trying to talk you into. But Noah was so focused on his assignment that while people are trying to tear him down with their words, he's using his hands to build up what God gave him. You gotta watch your ears, because your ears can affect your hands. And all I'm trying to tell you is that the environment matters when you're trying to build the table, the dream, the goal that God gave you. You gotta fix your focus on what God told you to do. Some people are talking crazy about you and don't even know that the dream that God gave you is gonna benefit them. Come on. And you're gonna allow what people say to you to stop what God is trying to do through you? Oh man, you done lost your mind. It's time for you to get back focused. Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Transform You, where I believe if you can change your thinking, you can change your life. Hey, my name is Josh, and I am super grateful and appreciative that you would listen this morning. Whenever you're listening, whether you are on Apple Music or Spotify or you're watching me on YouTube, thank you so much. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and do me one more favor. If this content has helped you in any way, share it with somebody else that needs some inspiration, some motivation, some wisdom in their day, in their week. You never know what message somebody needs to hear. And so you have the power to change somebody's life with a word. So today I was going through my phone trying to free up some space. I was deleting some old videos and messages, and I came across this video and I wanted to share it with you. And I'm gonna let you listen to it. Here it is.
The problem with most of us is that we are waiting for somebody else to give us a platform that they don't deem we deserve. So guess what? You gotta build your own. You gotta build your own table. You gotta get up from the table that feeds you and get your own table. That's how it goes, period. I'm learning this more and more. Build your own, build your own, build your own. I'm not saying everybody's an entrepreneur, but everybody wants a level of freedom that is not coming from where you are currently serving. What does that mean? You got to make an adjustment. You got to pivot. You got to do something. But if you keep waiting to sit at tables and eat at tables, you will always be disposable when you're no longer relevant to them. If you build your own, they can't take your table from you. Get to work, man. This message is for me too. Get to work.
February 22nd, 2023. And the reason why I'm sharing that with you is because this morning I woke up really irritated. I woke up so irritated because how am I gonna land this? I woke up irritated because the biggest frustration you will ever endure as a builder, whether you are building the dream, the goal, the ambition, whatever you are building, whatever your dream is that you are building, the biggest frustration is when you are building something and someone sees what you are building, and instead of acknowledging you, what they do is they steal from you. They don't acknowledge you because privately they talk crazy about you. And it is literally frustrating for you to get a dream, a vision, a goal that came from God. And you don't even know how hard it was for me to do what I'm doing currently. I'm not even talking about podcasts. I'm talking about for those of us who are building something. They have no idea how hard it was for you to get to where you are. And instead of being honorable and integral, they do something detrimental. They steal the idea, they take the concept, and I was extremely frustrated. I said, God, what is happening? What are we doing? Where are we at? And I know you don't usually hear content from me like this, and so I'm not bleeding, I'm not venting, because there are going to be some principles that I'm going to share with you about how to align yourself with your purpose, and also how to align yourself with the spirit of focus. So why am I saying this? Because my biggest frustration right now is watching people steal from other people ideas, concepts, without understanding what people had to go through to get what they currently have, right? And when you operate in integrity, you become a relational casualty to people who use you for their own selfish gain. And so this is why self-awareness is so important, because When you know who should be around you, right? I've said this before. And so when you have a dream, a goal, you're ambitious, it almost feels like the stealing is a smack in the face because you have no idea how much hell I had to go through to get what I got just to give back to people. Like you have no idea how much work I've been putting in, right? You've been putting work with your kids. You've been putting work in your relationships. You've been putting work in yourself. You've been getting away from toxic people and trying to get yourself around the right people. And it's frustrating. It's extremely frustrating. So this is what I want to talk about. When people do things to you that don't feel good to you, they steal ideas, they hurt you. Well, you're probably like, well, Josh, what does the video that you just showed me have to do with this? Because I was talking about building something, and then I went through a whole year of building something. And I'm talking to everybody who has been building something. Year after year, week after week, day after day, working your 9 to 5 and working your passion from 6 to 12. Like I'm talking to the people who have been putting in the work. This is what you need to learn. Number one is you need to acknowledge it. Acknowledge what? What is the it? The way that they hurt you, the words that they used, the way they manipulated you, the way that they treated you. You need to acknowledge it. Why? Because acknowledgement centers your foundation. Acknowledgement brings you back to ground level. It brings you back to the foundation because when you are hurt, you are emotional, and emotions are tied with decision making. We end up making the wrong decision because we're emotional, and we don't have any vision because our vision is cloudy because we're seeing through the pain, we're seeing through the hurt, we're seeing through the distrust. And when you see from a place of pain, you'll look for any space in your life to find hurt. And so acknowledging that you've been hurt, that you've been mistreated, abused, et cetera, it turns the pain into power. And I think so many of us, instead of acknowledging it, we try to ignore it. We try to ignore what they did. We try to ignore how they treated us. We try to ignore it. But when you acknowledge it, you kill bitterness. But when you ignore it, you are allowing bitterness to grow in your life. And when bitterness grows, it stops your momentum. You can't even build the table that you're trying to build because you're so hurt by what's going on around you. You can't even level set. You can't even focus. So acknowledging allows you to level set, allows you to refocus. Because if you are in a place of emotional despair or you're grieving, man, you can't even create from a place like that. And I think a lot of us try to create out of our pain, but we gotta turn that on its head, and we gotta create and build and give from a full cup, not a hurt cup, not a empty cup. You understand what I'm saying? This is so important, y'all. Number two is it's okay to be a human. It's okay for you to grieve it. It's okay for you to be frustrated. It's okay. So many times we got to be Superman for our kids, our spouse, our saving face for social media, whatever it is. And we can't even be real. It's okay to be human. It's okay to say, yo, I need a break. I need some time to myself. I need to get away for a day. I need to stay in bed for the day. You just can't stay in bed for 2-3 days because now you're creating patterns that will stop your productivity. Okay? Number 3 is this. Stay focused. Focus is just an acronym for fight obstacles, cancel unbelief, so you can get back to success. That's what focus is. You got to fight your obstacles. You got to cancel the unbelief so you can ultimately get to the success that you want in your life. You got to get laser focused. Why? Because it's not just people dependent on you. You are dependent on you. You made certain promises to yourself about the life that you want. You don't got time to be listening to people who don't get it, won't get it, can't ever get it. It's not for them. I'm reminded of the story of Noah, who had to build an ark. You know, Noah only had a word from God. That's all he had. Build. What's so crazy is there was no rain before that period of time. So God was telling him, I need you to build something that no one has ever seen before. The story goes on that God gives him a blueprint. He tells him all the tools he needs, the wood, the nails, the hammer, the et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He goes on to tell him everything. So he gives him a blueprint. But if Noah would have left the blueprint in blueprint form and never got to work, a flood would have killed him and his family. Some of us are waiting for God to work the blueprint when God already created the blueprint. He already gave you the idea. He's not going to work the idea. You got to work the idea. That's why you got to get back to doing what God called you to do. You got to get focused. And the story says that while Noah is building the ark, there's no rain, there's no clouds. The only confirmation Noah has, y'all, is the confirmation from people telling him what he's doing is not worth it. They are making fun of him for working the blueprint that God gave him. Let me go deeper. They are making fun of him for building a boat that is supposed to save them. See, some people in your life don't even know that you're a blessing to their life. Some people are making fun of you. Some people are talking crazy about you and don't even know that the dream that God gave you is going to benefit them. Come on. And you're going to allow what people say to you to stop what God is trying to do through you? Oh man, you done lost your mind. It's time for you to get back focused. There's an ark that God wants to build through you. Now watch this, y'all. And I don't usually break the text down like this, but I feel like it today. I got time today. Now watch this, y'all. The only confirmation that Noah had was the confirmation of people talking crazy about him. While he's trying to build the thing that God showed him, he got people trying to talk him down to their level. You ain't got time to be listening to people who are trying to talk you out of what God is trying to talk you into. But Noah was so focused on his assignment that while people are trying to tear him down with their words, he's using his hands to build up what God gave him. You got to watch your ears because your ears can affect your hands. And all I'm trying to tell you is that the environment matters when you're trying to build the table, the dream, the goal that God gave you. You got to fix your focus on what God told you to do. Stay focused. Fight the obstacles. Stay focused. Cancel unbelief. Stay focused so you can ultimately have the success that God wants you to have. What's next, Josh? Because you on me today. I know. I'm getting out your way. I'm almost done. So number one, acknowledge it. Number two, it's okay to be human. Number three, stay focused. And number four, you ready for it? This is what you prayed for. I'm done. I'm gone. This is literally what you prayed for. What Meek say? I used to pray for times like this, to rhyme like this. So I had to grind like this, to shine like this. That's what he said, right? And basically what he was saying is, this is what you pray for. Because when you prayed for the next level, you didn't know that you were praying for a next level of persecution. Because when you really get focused, when you really get in your bag, when you decide that enough is enough, I'm not going to recycle, I'm not going to rehearse any generational curse, you become a candidate for assassination. You know, my coach talks about the backside of the blessing all the time. And some of y'all like, well, what's the backside of a blessing? When you pray for power, you got to know power doesn't come without pain. When you pray for the next level, you got to know it comes with a next level persecution. When you pray for peace, you got to know it hurts to leave poisonous people because the poisonous people, they weren't always poisonous. And so sometimes you romanticize the good things that they did and you ignore the toxicity that they brought. But this is why you got to release them, because you got a table to build. You got a dream to get to. You got another level to get to. Listen to me. You are not putting the work in that you are putting in to stay on the same level. You got to release them. You got to forgive them. You got to acknowledge, yo, it hurt, but it's time for me to move on because I got to get so focused. Because the only reason you are where you are right now is because you had a level of focus. So let me give you a round of applause. Let me acknowledge that. You aren't where you were. You are not where you were last year. So let me acknowledge the fact that You are not the same person as you were at the top of the year. But you did not do all the work that you have done thus far to stay where you are. It's time to get focused. Fight the obstacles. Cancel the unbelief. Because I believe that you have what it takes to level up your life. Listen, it's not a matter of if, it's only a matter of when. Because when you prioritize God, it's never a matter of if, it's only a matter of when. And what I've discovered about God is, if he does not do it immediately, he will do it eventually. Y'all, I love you. Inspire somebody. Crush the day. Crush the week. Crush the month. I don't know when you're going to hear this, but just know this was your wake-up call to stay focused. I love you. Bye. Peace.